Hi, everyone. We're so excited to have with us Estella today. Estella is a phenomenal trumpet player and educator, and she just has this wealth of knowledge. We're so excited to have her. Thank you for joining us. So I'd like to maybe kick it off by just asking, how did you get started with Trumpet Headquarters?
Hi, thanks for having me. It's nice to finally be here with face-to-face interaction. So Trumpet Headquarters, I had the idea for it back in 2015, which was about a year after I had graduated with my master's degree. At that point, I was teaching privately. I was growing my private studio, which is Music Fit Academy. So I had that going, but I kind of wanted to start building several income streams and thinking ahead into my future because I've always had this idea that I want to be able to move and travel one day freely without having to worry about restarting my business back up. So back in 2015, I was like, maybe I could do this and I could have a website with a bunch of resources for trumpet players, which was kind of born from just the lack of good information floating out there. There's a lot of really weird stuff on the internet about trumpet playing. And as a private instructor, I came across that a lot. I mean, I would have a new student that would puff his cheeks on purpose because his previous teacher told him that that's how you should play. I have another student now that's been with me for about 6 years, who at first couldn't tongue, and he tongued from his throat because that's what the teacher told him to do. I mean, the list goes on, really. We know this, it's kind of crazy out there. So I was like, okay, they need help and I can provide that help. So I'm going to make this website and put a bunch of stuff in it. And then I also thought, well, maybe I could put a course in there and I could have this other income stream apart from my actual in-person face-to-face private lessons. And so about that time, I went to my mentor at the time, who was David Cutler from the University of South Carolina. He's the head of the Spark Lab there, which is like an entrepreneurial music part of the music program. And he really inspired me to do a lot of the things that I ended up doing. And so I went to him and I talked to him about it. And he's the sort of person that gets exactly what you're trying to do, but his ideas just sort of like flow out of his head, sometimes incoherently. So, I was ready to like catch them all and write them down and see what I could do with that. So in the end, he was just like, well, whatever you decide to do, I'm sure it's going to be great. And he was really supportive of the idea. So I went home and then I got a domain. That was the first thing I did. I was like, okay, I need to pick a name. It's the very first thing so I can steal all the handles from everywhere, and get covered. But it actually wasn't until about a year later that I even started working on the website because life was kind of crazy at that point. I mean, I was freshly graduated with a master's. I was kind of feeling overwhelmed with the pressure of like making money with music. We've all been there. It can be nerve-wracking. And so around 2016, I started teaching myself how to do everything I needed to learn to make trumpetheadquarters.com an actual reality. And it ended up being really monumental. Everything I had to learn. I had never used WordPress before, which if you guys know WordPress out there, you know how it can be when you don't know it. It takes about 8 hours to move a letter from here to there, right? So I had to, teach myself that. I taught myself some graphic design, some light coding. Then there was the whole lesson process. So I had to create a curriculum and actually write it down. I mean, I sort of have a guide for my private lessons of where I want my kids or my students to be at certain points in their development, but to actually put it into a concise curriculum, because people are just going to basically watch the videos and teach themselves, was a totally different experience. So I did that for about a couple of years. And then on April 20th, 2018, which anniversary is coming up, I officially launched Trumpet Headquarters to the public. It was not easy. to do that, just from, I mean, not just the preparation and everything leading up to it, but there were a lot of ups and downs in that whole process. And actually putting your stuff out there, you know, can be pretty crazy. Like, okay, so I've spent 3 years thinking this up and working on it, and now I'm just going to put it out there and see what happens. I mean, it's pretty crazy, but I had a lot of support. My fiance was just like, well, you're never going to find out how it does if you don't put it out there. So I put it out there. And so now it's been about 3 years, and the website hosts a myriad of resources for just about anything for trumpet playing. And it also has the trumpet lessons online course.